In this video, we'll have a quick look at some of the finer points of the UX isDirty flag, um, particularly when it comes to running child UXs. So here we've got what we'll call a parent UX, and we're going to open up a child UX that looks at a list and it's coming from the same table as the parent UX, but none of that matters. So here we've got a child UX popping up in a window, and we can, this is all default stuff. There's nothing special going on in here. This list control has a detail view down here. And so what we're going to do is we're able to close this with no issues. Now let's open it back up again, and we're going to choose a record from the list control, and that populates the details section. But now we're going to go ahead and close this. We can't, because in essence the dialog, the UX component has become dirty because these values have been filled into the detail view. So, but there's no way to really reset this form in essence. The way that it's built right now. Of course, you can add a button and reset the form, but doing that, the user might get confused as to what they're resetting, where they're resetting, and we can remove that confusion and make it easy for them. So let's rerun this. And there's a few other things. I'm going to open up the same UX component. I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to make a change to the data, and now I can reset this form. Yes, I do want to reset it, but we still have this same issue where the overall UX believes it's dirty, but the detail and the list control know that they're clean. So again, that's a bit of an issue. So let's see how we can take care of this. And I'll show you a working example first. So we're going to open up a virtually identical UX. This is just a different name. And we can close it normally. We haven't done anything to it. We can select a record from the list control, and normally the overall UX feels that this is dirty now because we filled in some detail values, but with just a few adjustments we're able to close that, which we should be able to. And we're going to go ahead and make a change to the data now, and we're going to reset it. And we're going to say no, we don't want to make any changes. So that resets our detail view, but because of what I've done with the overall UX, I try to close the overall UX, but can't do it because it's still dirty. Good. And now, so I'm going to reset again. And this time I'm going to say yes, I do want to undo the changes. So now we're back to our normal situation here, and because of changes that I've made, we can close this child UX. So once again, in and out. So let's go and have a look to see how we've done this. I can minimize this. So here's our child UX. I think what I'll do is show you the parent first. So here's a parent UX. These are my two buttons that open this stuff up. One of the main things that we're going to need to do here, I'll show you, it's open a UX component. You'll see I've given this an alias of my child, so that's really important. You've got to do that. And I've done that for both of these buttons and actions. I've just given it the same name. It doesn't really matter in this particular case since we're just testing. And now let's go and have a look at the child UX. The one that we've changed. Now there's no code running when we first open up the UX. We don't need to do anything there. However, in the list control, let's open that up. I'll go into the list events. I do have something in the on select. So when we select a row, what I do is I go and get the child object, my child, that was our alias, and I set the child object, the overall UX, not the list control. The list control dirty and the UX is dirty, are two separate things. So the overall UX, which thinks it's dirty, I set is dirty to false. Its underbar is dirty. So I set that to false. Now the UX believes it's clean, and in essence, it really is clean. So let's close that up. So that's on select. And let's go and have a look at what we do with the reset buttons now. So when we click the reset button, I can get rid of this. I'll just clean this up a little bit so it's a little easier to read. There we go. When I click the reset button, I go and get the child again. I set the underbar isDirty flag to false. So once again, where the UX, overall UX is clean. And then I go and get a pointer to the list control itself. And then what I did here was just steal all the code that the reset button automatically runs to pop up that message. Here's our A5 message box show. This is all alpha stuff. This is exactly the way that alpha does it. They reference this instead of lObject, but lObject, this in that case is just the list control object. So I go and get a pointer to the list control, and I just pass that anywhere that alpha is actually using this. Do it down here, here, here. So there's a number of areas, and again, this is the alpha code. This is exactly what they're running, and what this allows us to do is intercept the answer from the message box because it's a yes or no answer. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do anything. So if the button is yes, if the user clicks yes, then we just, this is exactly what alpha runs. They do an underbar reset form low, so that's cool. But if we say no, normally alpha would just drop out and not do anything else because they don't need to do anything else. But in this case, because we're running inside a child UX, what we're going to do, see, we've got our child object up here. I'm going to set the child object underbar isDirty back to true because I don't want to be able to get out. Closing the X at that point would allow me to get out, and I don't want to. So I'm going to reset this isDirty to true, and that's why we've got to set up all this message box code ourselves and not use the defaults that alpha puts in, where alpha runs this all behind the scenes. I'm going to save that, and then so what happens if we actually click save? Now in this case I actually save and then synchronize. It's not all in one series. So on synchronize, if we were to do that, so we can save our stuff, that's fine, but when we synchronize we want to set the child object underbar isDirty back to false. So that lets us get out of our child UX once again by clicking that X. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Because we're running, once again, because we're running inside a child UX, the rules are a little bit hazy maybe, and so we can easily look after everything that we need to ourselves. We just have to follow the flow of logic and figure out who thinks they're dirty and who doesn't think they're dirty. So thanks for having a look.